Finding your primary products. In this lesson, you're going to discover how to find your primary products. So building your hot opportunity list is a two-step process. First, find your primary products. Second, find your competing products for each of your primary products. And we are going to split this into 3 lessons. The third lesson will show you how you can do both at the same time. Now, this is a time-consuming and sometimes frustrating process. You are going to find a lot of primary products that get removed when you add the competing products, and this is completely normal. And you must remain patient and stick to the process. It might take you multiple attempts to build your list. And again, this is completely normal. Do not get disheartened. So the next 3 lessons are quite long, and they also contain a lot of moving parts. So we recommend you watch all 3 lessons at least once before implementing. Be prepared. So make sure you have watched the tools lesson, and also make sure that you install Chrome and that you install and configure Jungle Scout. And lastly, create your own copy of the ASM workbook to add your products to. And we also recommend you print your BSR ranges and the products to avoid list and have them next to your computer for you to check. So what are primary products? Essentially, primary products are products that have enough demand to mean high enough sales volume. So we are looking for existing products on Amazon that have high enough sales volume. And the ASM criteria will ensure this is the case. So let's get started. Okay, so before we jump to Amazon, I just wanted to show you that I've created my own copy of the workbook. You can see I've called it Rich ASMX Workbook, but you can call it whatever you like. And I'm going to leave the sample product in here to make it easier for you to follow along. So I'm going to go to Amazon. Now, first of all, before you go any further, you want to make sure you're not logged into Amazon. You can check this by just putting your mouse cursor over the part that says Hello Sign In. If you are signed in, then make sure you sign out before you start searching, because being signed in can skew the results. Now, make sure you've got the Jungle Scout extension configured exactly as we showed you in the tools lesson. But I'm going to go to the search bar, type in the minus symbol, followed by at least 8 random letters that do not make up a word. Once I've done that, I'm going to select the category. Now, for the majority of this product selection training, I'm going to be using the kitchen and dining category. And the kitchen and dining category is a top-level category, but is also an anomaly because it appears in the drop-down box under another top-level category. So if I click on all, now obviously you can select any of the categories you want to search in that are included in our BSR range lists. But I'm going to go down and I'm going to click on Home and Kitchen, which is a top-level category, and then I'm going to click on the search button. So that's step 1. Now, if you look here, we can see Home and Kitchen, which is the top-level category, but underneath we've got Kitchen and Dining, and this is actually a top-level category in its own right. And as I said, this is an anomaly, but I'm going to click on it. And you can see now it's saying 1 to 24 of over 80,000 results in kitchen and dining. Now, the next step is we're going to reduce the number of results we see by including our price range. So I'm going to scroll down, and you can see here it says price. And we want to put our price range in, which if you remember is $17 to $70. But I'm going to put in $16.99, and the max I'm going to put 70, and then I'm going to click go. Now you'll notice there's less results. Don't let that worry you. There are far more than 60,000 results. But you can see here it says $16.98 to $70. Now, I'm not sure why when you put in $16.99 it changes it to $98. If it does this for you, then that's fine. Do not worry about it. It's possibly that Amazon know there are a lot of products at $16.99, so they're assuming you're a shopper and they don't want to exclude those. However, we do want to do one more thing. Now, this does not apply to all categories, but if it does, you definitely want to do it. If you look at the far right here, you'll see these icons, one with 9 squares and one with 4. Currently, it's highlighted the 9 squares, and you can see we've got 1 to 24 results. Well, the more results we get on a page, the faster it's going to be. So if I click on the 4 squares, you now see it's 1 to 60. So it's showing us a lot more results, and that's what we want. The less pages we have to go through, the better it is. Now, at this point, we are ready to start searching. But I just want to point one thing out, and that is if you change categories or change anything on the page, always make sure that your price range is in here. Now, you can ignore the price range and just do it with Jungle Scout. However, the less results Jungle Scout has to work with, the faster it is. So we do it first. Now, it's worth noting, and I'm going to show you why shortly, that this is page 1 of our search. But I'm going to go and click on Jungle Scout tab up in the top right, and it's going to open up and it's going to start pulling all the results from this page. And it should pull 60, but essentially it will try and pull everything on the page. So this is all our results for page 1. At this point you can start going through the products if you wish. However, there is a faster way, and that is to click on the extract next page. However, you need to keep track of what page you're on, and you'll see why shortly. So I'm going to click on extract next page, and it's now pulling all the results for page 2 without me having to change the page on Amazon itself. And there you go, we're now up to 120 results. Now I recommend you do this for 5 pages, so you'll end up with 300. So I'm going to click on extract next page again, and now it's pulling results for page 3. Now you don't want to try and choke up the software, so never click on extract next page until the wheel has stopped spinning and it disappears completely. And there we go, we've now got an arrow instead of a wheel, which means we've extracted all the results on page 3. I'm going to click it once more, and now it's pulling page 4, and I'm just going to pause the video now and get all 5 pages. So now it's finished and it's pulled 299 results, so it skipped one somewhere along the line. Now you will notice once you start getting to page 4 and 5, it does take longer and the software slows down, and that's why we don't recommend scraping more than 5 pages. Now, before I go any further, I just want to talk briefly about these pages. We don't recommend you search for anything more than an hour or an hour and a half at a time, because you just get tired and you're going to miss things. However, how do you close everything down and still know where you are? Well, it's not actually that difficult, and we're going to use the Amazon page. So I'm just going to open this exact page in a new tab that doesn't have the Jungle Scout software on it. And remember, we have scraped the first 5 pages. So if we want to take a break now, we would want to start with page 6. And the way we do this is if I scroll down to the bottom of page 1 and click on next page, this takes us to page 2. And if you look at the URL at the top, you'll see this huge long URL, and you'll see a reference to the page twice. But the only one we need to worry about is this one here, where it says page equals 2, because that's the number of the page. So right now we're on page 5. So if I actually change this 2 to a 5 and hit return, it's taken us to the page that we've pulled the results from. In other words, the last page we've pulled the results from. So at this point, you can click on the URL to highlight it, right click, click copy, and then save that into a text file. And then when you finish those first 5 pages, if you want to go away and take a break and shut down the software, close your computer, whatever you want to do, all you would do is, when you wanted to start searching again, is come back, paste in that URL, and change the 5 to 6. This now is the 6th page, and we haven't scraped anything on here. And then I would click Jungle Scout and continue. And again, I would extract another 5 pages. So I would extract 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So next time I would make a note of that the next page I want to search is 11. And then I would just use the same URL again, but use the number 11 instead of the number 6 here where it says page equals. So that's how you track where you are. But let's go back to our initial search. So once you've got the results for the 5 pages, you're going to click on the 3 lines in the top left. And now we're actually going to put in some filters to reduce the number of products here. Now you don't have to include the price range, but occasionally you get things that get through the actual Amazon filter. So I'm going to put it in anyway. So I put $16.99 for the lowest price and $70 for the highest price. We don't need to worry about the reviews yet. We do need to worry about the lowest rank. So for primary products, I know in kitchen and dining, it's 100 to 12,000. We're not worried about sales and revenue yet. Again, we will use that later in the process, but we do want to worry about the weight. So the highest weight that we recommend, if you remember, is 5 pounds. And just to reiterate, the lower the weight, the lower the cost for you to get your products to Amazon. And you need to bear that in mind when you're selecting your final product because of the effect on the profit margin. Now, you can use some of these. The problem with these is that quite often sellers actually get the wrong information in their listing, and Jungle Scout can only pull from the actual listing. So we just leave these all checked. It's not a big deal. All the other criteria will filter out the ones we don't want. But I'm going to click on filter results and keep an eye down here. You'll see we're at $2.99. If I click filter results now, you can see when I close this box by clicking on the cross, we're down to 110. So we've got rid of a lot of these products, which is absolutely perfect. Now at this point, you can choose to organize these by their rank, by their sales revenue, whatever you wish. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. But with kitchen and dining, you're going to notice in the first few pages, you're going to get a lot of coffee results, pods and coffee beans. And from our products to avoid list, we know we're going to avoid them. I just want to point it out because you're going to see a lot of them. And for the most part, they're all going to be in grocery and gourmet. So we start with the first product. You can see if you put your mouse over the title, you can see Jungle Scout throws up a nice image for you to see what it is. Now the vegetable spiralizer is on our products to avoid list, so I'm not interested. So I actually want to get rid of this. So if I go over to the left here, you'll see where the cross is or the X is. You just need to click on it and boom, it's gone. Next one is replacement coffee. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit the X. Next one, again, it's coffee pods for a Keurig, I believe. And I can see the next one's the same. And the next one's coffee, more coffee. Now you can actually exclude coffee in the search. When we put in our minus sign and the 8 random letters, you can leave a space and put in minus sign followed by coffee. But again, there might be a product related to coffee and we'd lose that if we did that. So it just takes a little bit longer leaving the coffee results in, but it's worth it in case you miss a really good product that's related to coffee. So I'm going to do that's another coffee one, another coffee one, another coffee one. I'm just going to pause the video now. I'm going to get rid of all the coffee products. So as you can see, I've removed all the coffee pods and coffee beans, etc. And you can see now we're down to 1 to 61 results. And there's a lot less grocery and gourmet results on the page. But let's start looking at our products. So this first one, French press coffee maker. So we're going to take a closer look at it by opening it up in a new tab. To do that, all we need to do is actually click on the title. And as you can see, it's opened up our Amazon listing. So the first thing you'll notice here is one thing to be careful of is this is a glass product. So as we mentioned in the products to avoid, if you go with a glass product, you need to make sure your packaging is very good. Now I suspect we're going to lose this product when we actually add competing products because it has got a high number of reviews, but it's not something we rule out because of the reviews just yet. But I'm going to scroll down. We're just going to check the information because it's not always correct and go to product information. See the dimensions is 10 by 7 by 6, so it's fairly big, but it's still lower than Amazon's oversized limit. And you can see we're £2, so that's good. And you can see the shipping weight is £2 too. For the weight, always look at the item weight. The packaging itself is very rarely going to increase the weight a huge amount. So it's easier just to look at the item weight. And quite often, for some reason, these two numbers differ quite a lot. And again, that's down to the seller putting the wrong amounts in. But you can normally trust the item weight. And you can see the best sellers rank is 118 in kitchen and dining, which is okay for your primary product. And to check that, go ahead and look at the BSR ranges that you have printed out and have next to your computer. So this is a primary product and it works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the information for this product to our sheet. Now, there are two methods you can use for building your hot opportunity list. The first is to add 20 or so products to your primary product list and then go ahead and apply all the competing products to those 20 products or however many you have in your list. The second method is actually to look at the competing products straight away. Try both these methods, and I'm going to show you both these methods, but try both these methods and see which you prefer. So the first thing I'm going to grab is actually the URL. So I'm just going to click on it and copy it. And then I'm going to go to the workbook. You can see here the first box we have is product URL. So I'm going to click in the first available box under product URL, which is row 4, and I'm going to paste it in. Now you can see it's an enormously long URL and it just clutters things up. So what we're going to do is, you see above here it shows the URL. I'm going to click in that box and we're going to remove everything after the ASIN. The ASIN is this number here, B01J40T4E /. We want to remove everything after that. So in other words, where it says ref, R-E-F, we're going to remove everything from that point onwards and delete it. And now you can see we've got a much more manageable URL. The keyword we're going to leave for now, but we're going to fill in the other information. Now you can either do this by actually going to the listing or you can look in Jungle Scout. For this one we can see it's kitchen and dining and the BSR is 118. So for kitchen and dining, so I've highlighted the category box. I'm going to put KD for kitchen dining and the BSR was 118. Now we need the price. The price is $23.95. And even though we don't need the reviews right now, we're going to add them. And the reviews are over here to the far right. And for the primary product, it's the first reviews box. And the number of reviews, you can see here is 2605. And that's it. We've added our first primary product. Now there are more boxes to the right, but we're not interested in those right now. They will come into effect later when we look at the actual hot product opportunity list. So let's go back. We'll close that tab and we'll look at our next product. Now at this point, you can either delete this one because you've already made a record of it, or keep it. It's up to you. Personally, I like to delete it once I've added it. So I'm going to click on the cross. And then the next product is a water bottle. That's on our products to avoid list. So I'm going to click on the cross. The next one is a vacuum sealed food jar. So I'm going to click on cross to get rid of that. Now this next one is tea. Now you can by all means look at tea, but it tends to be like coffee. It tends to be overly competitive. But for the sake of the training, I'm going to open it up so I can show you another example of adding it to our list. So again, I'm just going to click on the title. Now you'll notice here we've got these variations. And if you remember from the products to avoid list, we did talk about variations. Strictly speaking, this is probably something I would avoid because essentially we've got 7 different variations because you've got the different types and the different sizes. And to be able to use the variations, you need to be able to see the different BSRs for each variation. But because of this has got variations and it's a T, which I happen to know is a competitive, I'm just going to ignore it and we're going to move on. Again, if it's something you're passionate about, then you can look into this some more, but I will show an example later of a product with variations that you can check. So I'm going to delete that one. What have we got here? Let's open it up. Simply Tear standing paper towel holder. We're seeing it's got no variations. I'm quickly going to scroll down to product information. Dimensions, again, this is getting a little bit bigger. It's still not oversized, so it's not too bad. And the weight is 1.75 pounds. It's 348 in home and kitchen, so again, it meets our BSR range for our primary product. While we're on that subject, because it's a 348, it's more likely to qualify after we add competing products. Products that have BSRs close to the 100 mark are more likely to get removed, but they still could be great opportunities, which is why we still include them. So we can add this one. So I'm going to copy the URL, go back to our sheet, and I'm going to paste it into the next product URL box. And then we're going to edit the URL. And again, everything from the REF onwards, including the REF, I'm going to remove. And then we're going to grab the other information. So we need the category and the price. So if I go back to our Jungle Scout, it's in home and kitchen, and it's $24.95. So I'm going to use HK for home and kitchen and $24.95. Then we need the BSR and the reviews. The BSR is 360 and the reviews is 2162. And we've got another primary product in our list. So I'm going to close that tab, go back to our search. I'm going to delete it because I've added it to our list. Sky Matte Comfort Anti-Fatigue Mat. This looks quite interesting. I happen to know this is going to have a ton of variations, but let's open it up. And as you can see, it's got 3 different sizes, 8 different colors. So immediately I'm going to say that this is probably not going to be something we would go after for a first product. And looking at the sizes, if this doesn't roll up, it's also going to be oversized. But let's click on JS. And this is what I wanted to show you. So what you can see here, all of these are variations of this main product. This is the main product we are looking at. Everything underneath is a variation, whether by size or by color. But what you'll notice is the BSR rank for all of them is exactly the same. So we have no idea which is the best selling mat. And because of that, because of the number of variations, and we can't distinguish which is the best one, we're going to delete it. So I'm going to close the tab and then click on the cross to get rid of that product. Now we've got another type of tea here, another herbal tea. Again, this is something you could look at if you wish, if it's something you're interested in, but I'm going to remove it because I know it's got variations and I also know the tea market's very competitive. And we've got some more black tea. I'm going to remove it again. You know, this is something you can look at. The next one is sealer bags. So we could open that up. Again, we're looking at 4 different variations because of size. So let's take a quick look and see if Jungle Scout will tell us which is which. And it doesn't. It's telling us they're all 110. So because we can't identify which is the best variation, I'm actually going to remove it. So we can delete that one. The next one, it's food storage. They're on our products to avoid list. A vacuum flask, that's on our products to avoid. This is a drawer liner. Let's take a quick look. Okay, we're looking at 6 different variations and they can have up to 6 different sizes in stock too. Take a quick look on Jungle Scout to see if it tells us. And you'll notice here it's just asking me to log in. It does do this from time to time and sometimes it depends on the number of searches you've done. But you just need to log in again with your Jungle Scout credentials. And then I'm going to click on Jungle Scout again. And as you can see, it's not showing the rank. Now, Amazon is experimenting with this right now. So depending on the category, sometimes it does show these, sometimes it doesn't. But when you have this number of variations and you have no idea which one to choose, because you don't know which one sells the best, you're just going to remove it. Okay, unfortunately, when that logged me out, it actually removed the search results I had on the other tab, or I accidentally closed the wrong tab. So I've restored it as much as I could. Got slightly fewer results left after we got this far. But let's keep moving forward. I'm just going to show you a few more examples because the idea here is I'm just showing you how to add primary products to your list and the type of things you look for in a product that means you don't add it. But let's keep going. So we've got this cordless electric wine bottle opener. So I'm going to click on the title. Now I'm assuming it still plugs into the wall to charge it. And in fact, if we look at the bullet points, it says up to 30 bottles on a single charge. So yes, it does need to be charged. So if you remember from products to avoid, if it plugs into a wall, you need to be very, very careful. You need to make sure it complies with the safety requirements for the country you're selling in. You need to make sure it's high quality, and you also need to look into liability insurance. But I'm going to leave this one in for now, just so I can show you another example of adding a product. So I'm going to copy the URL, go back to our sheet, paste it in, remove everything from the REF onwards. I'm not going to repeat that next time. I'm just going to do it because you've seen how to do it now. Then we need the category and the price. So it's KD and $17.99. And then we're looking for the BSR and the reviews. BSR is 102 and the reviews are 6,182. Now, because of that large number of reviews, I am going to assume that we're going to lose this product when we add competing products. But again, you will find situations where the primary products will have a lot of reviews and yet the competing ones won't. So it will still be viable. When you're searching through the first 5-10 pages, the vast majority of products you find are going to be removed when you add the competing products to prove viability. And that's just the way it is because of the way Amazon organize their site and because of the way the search string brings up the most competitive first in general. So it's completely normal. Just remember, make sure you keep track of where you are using the URL method I showed you earlier. So let's go back. Close that. I'm going to delete it now because I've added it to my list. Gold plastic forks. I've got absolutely no idea about this product. Let's open it up and take a look. Okay, we've got 4 variations and it actually lists forks, knives, spoons and everything separately. So this is going to be too many variations. And plus, it doesn't really matter which one's the best selling because you're going to have to provide all of them, really. It's unusual for someone to go and buy just forks and not knives with them and maybe even spoons. So it would be too many variations for you to add because you'd have to order forks, knives and spoons, and then you've got the colors to take into account too. So I'm going to close that and we're going to delete it. I've got a water filter jug. Now these are dominated by the big brands, in other words, especially Brita. So it is something you could look at. And in fact, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to add this one to our list. And this is the last one I'll actually show you me adding it to the list because it's pretty straightforward now and I've shown you how to do it. So we're going to copy the URL. Paste it in under product URL. I'm going to shorten the URL. We need the category and price, which is KD and 2809, weird price. And then the BSR and reviews is 170 and 5611. And we've added another product. So I'll close that tab and we'll go back to our list and remove that one from our list. This next one's a salad spinner. Now it's worth pointing out here, OXO, in other words, the brand name. Let me open it up and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So the OXO, that's the name of the brand. They are very litigious. In other words, if you use any of their trademarked words, they will come after you and they will try and get you closed down. So there's nothing wrong with creating your own salad spinner. Just do not use any trademark names of OXO. And normally it's pretty obvious when you look at their listing. I would guess Good Grips right here is trademarked by them. So you wouldn't be able to use that. But salad spinner might be a profitable product. So I'm just going to look at a few more examples and then afterwards I'll add them to the list because you've seen how to do that. So I've got this open in a tab so we'll be able to copy it, so I'm going to delete it. This mini fridge electric cooler, if you look all the way to the right you can see it's £5, which is right on our limit, and the fact that it also plugs into a wall, I'm going to delete it. Got food storage containers, delete it. Johnny Peel apple peeler, I've not seen one of these before. That looks kind of cool. We've got 2 variations, so it's not too scary. So it is something I might look at. Just wondering if they show the different bases in their images, which they don't. My opinion is a mistake, but anyway. So I'm going to add this one to our list too, but I've got it open in a tab, so I'm just going to close that one. Okay, that's a KitchenAid accessory. So basically it's a replacement part for a brand product. Replacement parts are mentioned in the products to avoid, so it's something I'm going to get rid of. This is something I'm going to assume, and don't assume. I'm just assuming this for the training, that this is going to be incredibly competitive, because I imagine, again, it's dominated by big brands like Cuisinart and all the other big electrical appliance brands. So I'm going to delete it. Vacuum sealer, I'm going to open that one up. It's only got 2 variations. It's interesting that it's selling 2 vastly different products, really. I mean, like, this one's only $64. And I say only $64. I've never had the use for a vacuum sealer. You can see it's a totally different product. Surprised they're not selling that on different listings. I wonder what happens if I click on Jungle Scout. You see it's only showing the BSR for one. Kind of surprised they're not selling them separately, but maybe they're just trying to get reviews for one before they split the listing. That's a completely different story. I'm going to ignore it for now. So I'm actually going to delete this product. And I deleted it because it's 2 very different types of product, and I can't tell which is the bigger seller. And also it plugs into a wall, so that's a lot of different things we're not going to look at it for. We've got food storage containers, get rid of that. Countertop drying rack. Let's have a look at this one. It's a very simple looking product, so I'm going to add that to my list. It has got 3 different colors, so it's something I'd want to be careful of. But after clicking on Jungle Scout, you can see that this product's actually in baby, and it's actually showing the 3 different ranks. It's showing the 3 different revenues. It's lumping all the reviews together. There's nothing we can do about that. However, it does show us that if we were to be interested in this product, then we are more likely to be interested in this one, the green drying rack. It's got far more sales, more revenue obviously. So this is an example that you could add this to your hot opportunity list, because you know that the green one is the better option. So I will add this to our list, and we can look at it when we go to competing products. Go back to our list. I've got it open in a tab, so I'm going to delete it. Coffee and espresso maker. I'm going to open that, take a look. So they're actually selling the press and the filters and the press with a bag all on the same listing, which again is strange. And this is not going to show the different BSRs either, because the more I do this, the more it looks like kitchen and dining is a category where they don't show BSR for variations. So I'm going to delete this product. Now I'm zooming through this and making assumptions and doing things very quickly. By all means, especially if you see a product you're interested in, then do a bit more research. Don't just remove it. Even add it to your list so you can check it with competing products. And that becomes easier when I show you in the 3rd lesson of this series how to do everything at once. I've got another anti-fatigue mat here. Let's take a look. Okay, so they've only got 2 different sizes, so that's not quite as bad. So I'm going to add this one. It's very important here to know the size, because as you'll see, when we go to look at competing products, we're looking for products that match our primary product. So for this product, for instance, we'd be looking for something that was this size or very close to it. We'll get to that in the next lesson. So I'm actually going to stop the video here. I think we've shown you enough examples. I'll go make sure I've got like between 5 and 10 products on my list that I can use to show you how we add competing products in the next lesson. So for you, keep moving forward. You want to get at least 5 to 10 of these to add to your product list so that you can then go forward into the next lesson and use those as examples. So the important thing here is to practice how this works, how you find primary products. It's actually a fairly straightforward process to find the primary products. And as you'll see in the next lesson, we refine that by adding a competing product to prove viability. So a quick wrap up on what's next. In this lesson, we covered how to search for your primary products and also how to add them to your ASM workbook. In the next lesson, you will discover how to find your competing products for those primary products. Your action step for this lesson: find at least 5 primary products to take into the next lesson and add them to your ASM workbook. But that's it for this lesson. Take care.